Welcome to Brewing TV. I'm Michael Dawson.
And I'm Jay Keeler. We're sitting on the shore of Lake Monona in beautiful Madison, Wisconsin. As we've journeyed around this city, it seems that at every turn you find a grassroots appreciation for beer.
There are brew pubs with very deep roots. There are brand new brew pubs with radical notions. There's a vibrant homebrewing scene. And there's also a big homebrew club that puts on a big beer event every year.
So take a tour with us of this great city and find out why it is such a great place to have a beer. All for brew?
Brew for all.
We need to get to the brew pub.
To the brew pub!
Madison, Wisconsin is the kind of town that Brewing TV lives for. Breweries, brew pubs, homebrewers, tons for the craft beer nerd to take in.
Jake used to live in Madison, so we had a good idea of where to start. The Great Dane, one of Jake's favorite haunts from the old days. The Dane has 4 locations serving their award-winning beers throughout Wisconsin.
What makes the Great Dane so awesome? They generally have a dozen plus beers on tap, including a wide range of lagers and cask-conditioned ales. We started our brewery expedition here, and the next day we had a chance to talk to the Dane's head brewer, Eric Brusewitz.
Started with the Magnificent 7. We had 7 regular beers and then 1 or 2 specialties. And then after 2 brewery expansions, we've been able to add 9 more fermenters. And so we've actually got 22 batches worth of fermentation space, which allows us to have a lot of different styles on. Our philosophy kind of is, if we've got 16 beers on tap, if you can't find one that you like, then you're probably not a beer drinker. Just because it's, we range everywhere from a light lager to a beer engine poured, black earth porter, and pretty much everything in between. We've got the pale ales and the IPAs. We always have at least 2 different cask conditioned ales, always at least 2 different nitrogen poured beers as well. So we run pretty much the whole spectrum.
I was surprised, and more than a little excited, at how many cask ales were being poured. On the night we were there, my on-scientist bar poll showed that for every 1 tap beer, there were 4 to 5 cask beers poured.
It's really taken off in the last couple of years. I remember when we first were doing cask conditioning, actually we started right around 2000 doing cask conditioned ales, and we could put just 1 cask up would last us like 3-4 days. And now, we're lucky if we can make a cask last a day.
We're gonna find out what makes this city tick from the natives.
Other than the fact there's so many different microbreweries in the state of Wisconsin that all kind of converge in Madison, there's also a lot of breweries in Madison itself. Speaking of Ale Asylum and the Great Dane and several other brew pubs.
I really like the brew pubs. So like in Mount Horeb, you've got the Grumpy Troll, the Great Dane. You really can't go wrong. There's so many different venues for good beer. So
They know their stuff. Very adventurous. We can brew a lot of stuff here that wouldn't necessarily work even in say northern Wisconsin. And we really don't have. We can put just about anything on tap, and there's gonna be someone that's gonna like it and drink it.
I like the atmosphere, and B, I do like the beer selection. I feel like the beer selection in Madison is a lot bigger than it is in Milwaukee or Chicago, and it also features a lot of smaller breweries, smaller local breweries.
The German Pilsner is very good. I enjoy that a lot, especially with the lemon.
I feel like Miller is kind of more seen as a college beer, and then here it's more of a mature beer. You get a mature flavor, you get a different assortment, and I like Capital Brewery.
It's constantly growing too. We're constantly pushing the envelope, and there's other breweries around Wisconsin too that really do some great brewing, and so I think people in Wisconsin know their stuff. Even aside from being in the craft brewing segment, or actually the brewery itself, you can go around the whole downtown area, and there's places that have great Belgian beer selections, European beer selections, anywhere from 10 to 40 beers on tap, and so that's great too, because it sweetens the whole pot.
While the Great Dane has multiple locations and is well established within the craft beer scene,
and I'd have everything staged a day ahead of time, so I would be able to just pretty much come in the morning, make my base wort.
Paige Buchanan is just starting to realize his dream of operating a brewery.
House of Brews is Page's vision for a multi-purpose brewery being built into this warehouse space. Page's plan is to open a community-supported brewery.
It follows a model similar to community-supported agriculture, where subscribers pay money up front, in this case to me, the brewer, and then receives beer periodically, see what their tastes and preferences are with regard to that, and then brew beers that hopefully that they're going to like. And then I'm also going to have a tap room and be a standard packaging brewery. Right now I'm going to be using all old dairy equipment that I'm finding all over the place and need to modify. This kettle, for instance, was an old dairy processor, and I still need to chop all the stuff off the top of it and get that big motor off of it and have a collar for a vent stack welded onto it. But then essentially it's a pretty nice 3-zone steam jacketed kettle, just like you'd find at any other professional brewery. And it was really convenient. It had 2 little rooms. Had this one, which make a perfect little mill room. So I can put a mill in there and flex auger up over to my mash tun. This will be a lab/office.
Okay.
And it's perfect for that. I'll have my lab over here. Yeah, even though I'm small and starting with a budget, I think I really want to start with some kind of QC lab.
Yeah.
Because the bar is so high these days.
Yeah, absolutely. It's got a floor drain, so that's nice.
Yeah, I can put a little sink. There's plumbing on the other side, and even though I thought it would be, I had my mind set on one system. I got to talking to people, and they said, you might want to consider this and that system. Well, as soon as you start thinking about something, it changes everything, and you can have all the best plans you want on paper in a hypothetical perfect space, but until you get into the place physically, you don't know what's going to happen. Because all of a sudden it depends on the location, and your location and how far, depends on your flow rates, depends on how much it's going to cost. You're balancing the cost of installing things and getting equipment. So it's kind of this puzzle with pieces that change.
It's a labor of love then, would you say? That you definitely have to be dedicated to the idea and prepared for the work?
Crazy, yeah. You as I've put it, you take the ride up to the top of the roller coaster hill and then decide whether you're going to go down, and once you flip the lever and go down, you're going,
Yeah.
in a place with a lease, getting equipment. But what got me into it definitely was just an absolute passion for beer, for craft beer, for brewing, just thinking about it 24/7.
And with that, we wished Paige the best of luck. Hopefully we'll be back to show you what his House of Brews is doing in the years to come. Now, enough talk about brewing, let's do some brewing.
We have a special treat for this episode's Time to Brew segment. Jake and I are going to step out, Steve and Charlie Krieger are going to step in and guest host this special brew session. Steve and Charlie are a father-son brew team with a rather unique beer on their to brew list. You know what time it is.
Hello, I'm Steve Krieger. I'm Charlie Krieger. And welcome to Time to Brew. We're going to host this session for you, and we're going to show you how Charlie and Steve make a farmhouse ale.
What we're making today is a dark farmhouse ale. It's going to be partially aged in a rum barrel, and it's going to be a real sour beer, so quite tasty. I haven't brewed one in a while. I was able to get the rum barrel from a friend that has the distillery, and just seemed like a good thing to do.
We had brewed a farmhouse ale, I don't know if it was last summer or the summer before.
2 years ago.
2 years ago, and when I had people over, they just absolutely raved about it. They thought it was, and that's one of the challenges with home brewing is trying to duplicate a great beer that you've already made because the environmental conditions are outside your control. And
Especially a sour beer.
Especially a sour beer. Well, we brew probably twice a month.
At least, yeah.
So that's, let's say, 24 batches a year for 4 years. So we're probably approaching 100 batches together.
Mm-hmm. Basically, my dad got me into homebrewing here. What was it? 6 years ago?
6 years ago, Christmas time. You know, what do you buy a 20-year-old that, you know, is going to like something? I don't know. Charlie is always kind of an artistic, creative person. And I knew he was getting close to his 21st birthday, so I thought, what could tie all that together? And I thought, well, how about a homebrew kit? So went down to the local homebrew shop, got a kit, and Charlie walked into the living room and said, what's this big box? I don't need a big box, you know. And he opened it up and...
Well, we brewed the first batch that day, and I missed the directions to stir the extract. So it wound up just burning on the bottom of the pot and rising in big charcoal-y flakes, so we just dumped it out before we even tried fermenting it.
And that was pretty much the same time my wife banned us from the kitchen as well. So we're pure garage brewers now. We can do everything we need to do out here. Charlie is definitely the brewmaster. I mean, I gave him the kit and said, you figure it out. And, you know, he kept getting more and more and more into it. And actually, he joined the Madison Homebrewers and Tasters Guild about
2 years.
2 years before I did. And then I got into it, and it's a great organization. And, you know, Charlie's a czar in the club, and I'm just a peon. But, you know, we have fun. So.
I'd like to point out peon's not a technical term for anyone in the club. So we're adding some Belgian candy sugar. The idea here is that it gives you some fermentables, a good amount of alcohol. It actually ferments out pretty dry, but it adds a great deep, sweet candy flavor, and hopefully that's going to mesh real well with the rum from the barrel. Bonding experience. I mean, we didn't have a ton in common before that. He's really into sports. I'm really not.
So we argue about whether we listen to the ball game or, you know, some brewing show while we're out here brewing. But, you know, if that's the worst of it, that's pretty good.
We don't like the same music for sure, but we get along over beer. So it's worked out real well. For sour beers, I do like to use plastic because it's more permeable to oxygen. So we're going to leave it in that plastic bucket for about 3 months. And actually, then we'll move it over to kegs, where it's going to sit and age further for about 6. But over that 3 months that it's sitting in there, there's a lot of oxygen that's getting in there, which is important for the development of those flavors from the Brettanomyces and the, especially Acetobacter.
So we still put an airlock on it.
Oh, yeah. devices you might be interested in is our wort chiller over here. The design actually comes from Jamil Zainasheff, and it's basically just a wort chiller which at the same time we are recirculating wort around through another pipe that comes through here out of the outlet of the boil kettle, just to advance the cooling process and also to give us a little bit of a whirlpool to allow things to condense in the middle of the pot.
As we can, we got the cold water running inside, but we have the wort also coming out the third tube there, going right in through the copper tubing that enhances the chilling process. Got 13 seconds left with the, oh, actually we're over. So time to start the chilling. And hopefully it comes out here. Yes. And the chilling process has begun.
So this is my good friend Nevin. He is the brewer at Tyranina.
Tyranina.
Yeah, a local brewery. And he brought us today a sour cherry beer of some sort.
Yeah, we call it our sour cherry kinda lambic.
Hey,
because it's not really a creek, and it's, you know, technically not a lambic because it wasn't brewed over in Brussels or wherever.
It sounds kind of good.
This is actually one of 4 sort of sour experimental beers that we did, small batches in once used bourbon barrels. So this is the cherry. It had, gosh, I think 40 some pounds of the Oregon cherry puree added to the barrel. Sat in the corner of the brewery for about 13, 14 months before we kegged it up.
Cool. Well, let's give it a try.
Yeah, let's give it a try, yeah. Pretty low on the carbonation.
Low on carbonation?
It's not, you know, tongue-curlingly sour. It's not even really all that, you know, oppressively sour.
Actually, it seems like more of the sour character would be coming from the sour cherries, actually, than even the sour culture, maybe.
No, I definitely don't think so.
No? Okay.
In fact, I mean, me personally, I don't really taste a whole lot of cherry flavor in this one.
It's got a lot of those dark malt characters to it that I wouldn't have put in a lambic necessarily.
Right, right.
But really, I think express the fruit character a bit more.
Yeah, I mean, the sort of lambic appellation that we give it is really just to kind of let people know that it's a sour beer, because lambic is what most people have heard of if they are familiar with any sour beers.
That makes sense. I mean,
you probably would be better off just calling it a sour brown, you know, with fruit.
So I guess our beer is probably ready to be moved to the fermenters. We probably ought to go take care of that. Yeah.
We're putting one of them into the rum barrel, right?
Yep.
All right.
Should be tasty.
Sounds like fun. Let's do it.
So this is a rum barrel, single-use rum. I believe it's medium toast, from a friend of mine that owns and runs the Old Sugar Factory Distillery in Madison, Wisconsin. There we go. Good questions, but thankfully I've thought of them already.
All right.
And no, I'm very thankful that I thought of them already, because if you said something and then I suddenly went, oh crap,
yeah,
that'd be bad.
That'd be bad. But it's happened. What are you going to put in there, 6 gallons?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to thank everybody from Brewing TV for stopping by here today. We had a great time, and Chip, you did a great job, and I hope everybody enjoyed watching us brew the farmhouse ale that's going to be fermenting in the rum barrel, and I can't wait to taste it. Too bad you can't, but all for brew.
Brew for all.
Thanks, guys. You heard Steve and Charlie mention that they're members of the Madison Homebrewers and Tasting Guild. While in town, we decided to crash a club meeting. But we got distracted by this huge bottle of beer. Another great reason to love Madison, Wisconsin.
Basically what we are is not only home brewers, but as we say in our little charter, or Madison Homebrewers and Tasters. So we're really into the tasting end of it too. A bunch of beer judges, lots of BJC people. We also are basically a business. We run a large event called The Great Taste of the Midwest. In fact, that's what we're here tonight doing the last planning of. The Great Taste is a business, and we spend probably at least half of our time putting on this event.
It's designed primarily to showcase the breweries of the Midwest. We've got a lot of breweries here, a lot of brewing history in Wisconsin, Illinois, and all the states around us. We sell only 6,000 tickets, and they sell out in about an hour. There are a lot of rock bands that should do so well.
Great Taste of the Midwest is crazy. It's awesome. It's my favorite day of the year. We've got like 120 different breweries from all over the Midwest, a few of them even stretching out further than that. One of my favorite things is that when you go to each of these different 120 booths where they're serving beer, the brewers are there. You get to talk one-on-one with the brewers about, whatever. You can ask them about any kind of flavor that they've got or how they make a certain kind of beer, and most of them are very receptive and very forthright with their answers. They will tell you, some of the secrets and stuff that goes into making special beers. And you don't get that at a lot of the bigger festivals.
The festival, it seems like a lot just coming into it for a homebrewing club to be putting on, but the homebrew club and the festival have kind of grown organically together. The festival is 24 years old now. It started in the basement of one of the local bars here, and 24 years ago there weren't a lot of craft beers around. So the homebrewers decided, well, what if we could get the brewers to come to Madison and just show off their best beers? If you come to Madison looking for beer, out on the west side you've got Capitol Brewery, which several years ago was rated the #1 brewery in the country. Over on the east side you've got the Ale Asylum, several great beer bars downtown, and as luck would have it, almost all of them are on the #6 bus that goes through town. So you really don't even have to drive. Fun place to live, but it's a very fun place to visit.
In search of a great taste of our own, we headed back into town by way of the Malt House. It's a cozy little bottle bar and tap room offering up some of the best beers from all over the world. The perfect way to wrap up this trip to Madtown.
Of course, we couldn't fit all that Madison has to offer into this episode, so chances are we'll be back again.
I lived here for about 3.5 years while I was going to graduate school, and I don't think I grasped how good of a beer scene it has here. And not so much, I would say, even the quality of the beer, the availability, but the size and the configuration of the city is so conducive to a really good bar culture.
It's true.
And a very social culture, which all feeds into this idea that people go out and they support beer, they buy beer, they talk about beer. It's something I took for granted while I was here.
Thank you for taking the time to come with us on our beery expedition through Madison, Wisconsin. Jake, did you want to announce something?
I'd like to thank all the people that voted me into the AHA. I am now the vice chair of the governing committee. I plan to do a lot of great work here at the Capitol, get things done, get things changed.
It's kind of blue.
Yeah.
Madison's got it all. It's got big brewers, little brewers, brew pubs, breweries, homebrewers, beer festivals. In its own idiosyncratic way, it is as awesome a beer scene as any place else in the country.
That's right. So if you're in southern Wisconsin sometime, put Madison at the top of your list for places to visit. You won't be disappointed.
And you have no excuse now.
That's right.
All for brew.
Brew for all.
Wow. It's go find another brew pub.
We're not the only ones who were impressed by the Capitol.
Okay, hello, I'm Steve Krieger.
I'm Charlie Krieger.
And welcome to, what's the name of the show?
Time to Brew. Brew for one, all for brew.
You know, settle down and have a nice beer. Right, Charlie?
Right. Brew for all.
All for brew.
All for brew, brew for all. Okay.
Okay, brew for all. No, just edit it in. All for brew.
Brew for all.
Oh my God.
I think we might have this.
Wish you could join us, but you can't, so that's tough.
Brew for all.
You say the first, I'll say
all for brew, yeah.
Brew for all. I can remember that part.
Okay. All for brew, yeah.
I can remember that part. Brew for all.
All for brew.
I said it backwards, didn't I?
All for brew.
Brew for all.
Chip, you want anything else?